Hello, friends. This is John Klein III, episode 184 of Shadow and Flames of Magic, your premier Kitty Pride, Lucky, and Magic podcast. And we're going to try something new. Gotten some requests to see if I can make a more visual YouTube version of this instead of seeing the logo. And so today we're going to review Magic number 7, Fantastic Four versus X-Men number 2. For our Fantastic Four month. Review the new Superman movie and the other comics that came out last week. So let's get into it. We saw Superman last night. It was super fun. Um, didn't get drowsy at all, which usually happens with me. Usually, as I work two jobs, I like to think so. Once you get into a dark room, you get cozy in a chair, the sleepiness comes in. Spoilers for Superman, James Gunn Superman that launches the new, DCU and or DCCU. That must be it, right? Detective Comics Cinematic Universe. And I thought the cast was amazing. There was a moment where I was like, is Hot Girl also Dora from that previous live action movie? And then if that's the case, is she from that Spider-Woman movie or Madam Web movie? And it turns out she is. So I was like, all right. I thought Nicholas Hoult was great as Lex Luthor. Um, Nathan Fillion as Green Lantern. Guy Gardner. They kept saying Justice Gang, which was fun, as I kept being like, they're going to say Justice League at some point. Um, Metamorpho's in there. We see his kid, and I was like, well, that's cute. Um, David, is it Cromwell was pretty Cornset was great as Superman. Lois Lane was like it's just all perfectly cast. The guy from NBC's The Resort, which has Christina Milioti, was Jimmy Olsen, and I thought he did great. Um, Direction was hilarious. Crypto was in there. We see Supergirl. And so, yeah, like it was a pretty great movie. Like 40 minutes in, I was like, this is a Superman movie. Like, how great is this? Like, because there's, I guess, a question like, what's the difference from a movie and like a 2 hour television special? And it's like, I don't know, like budget, I guess. But like, we got a lot of story done in this like 2.5 hours. So, I I just really enjoy it. I recommend people go out and see it. And if this is the beginning, well, it is the beginning of James Gunn's DCCU, then I think we're off to a great start. So, we got Magic number 7. Probably my favorite comic of the week. We uh, Magic finally catches up to Danny, who's in that new Magic Society. I do wish we had a side series where Magic, where we followed like 7B, where we see Danny having to like quasi apologize to all of our coworkers about her new friend and how she can be a bit much sometimes. But Magic pretty much immediately starts picking fights with everyone. She wants to check up on Cal, who's possessed completely by Lumina, and unfortunately, that means like there's no more Cal. There's just Lumina. And so there's just so much tension in this beginning issue that like you just feel like an adult has to come into the room, and then an adult does come into the room and does quiet things down, but then like Magic's still skeptical of everything. And but she gets given a tour of their new building. I do like the fact that if you're going to establish a secret society, you gotta have someone ask the question like, "Where were you during these past situations?" And they'd be like, well, we try to focus on this stuff and not like the larger scheme stuff. And it's like, well, all right, well, that's just what you gotta do with secret societies. And then she sends Magic to and Danny to a quest in Vegas, so that should be fun. And just a great issue, like my favorite series, and for a good reason. Like it's pretty amazing and uncanny. So let's get into Fantastic Four versus X-Men, which came out You can follow along on my TikTok and YouTube channels at Jackal SII. And this came out in March 1987. It would have cost you 150 pennies or 175 Canadian pennies. This is Truths and Consequences, brought to us by Chris Claremont, the writer, penciler John Bogdanoff, inker Terry Austin, Glennis Oliver, colorist Tom Orchowski, letterer, edits Ann Nocenti and Don Daly, which I like to think is the X-Men editor and the Fantastic Four editor teaming up. Then Jim Shooter, editor in chief. It starts off narration. His name is Wolverine, and he is not someone to have as his enemy, as Reed Richards, leader of the X-Men, Fantastic Four, is now discovering. I do like how maybe John Bogdanoff is a Fantastic Four artist. Maybe he draws them amazingly or fantastically, and he, because everyone else is an X-Men creator, the writer, inker, colorist, letter. Well, I don't know. Did Terry Austin follow John Byrne to his Fantastic Four run, or did John Byrne ink himself? I bet Terry Austin went with him, right? I don't know. Our setting is Muir Island, a wild, desolated, beautifully rock jolting out of the Atlantic Ocean, just above the north coast of Scotland. Our protagonists, the outcast band of mutant heroes known as the X-Men, who've turned to the renowned Fantastic Four for help, only to have Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, inexplicably turn them down. And since the life of a teammate hangs in the balance, some of the X-Men aren't taking this refusal too well. And so Logan's attacking Ben Grimm, does a thunderclap and knocks the X-Men back. Storm's trying to calm Wolverine down. As the X-Men's leader, Storm, struggles with all her might to hold her friend back. Johnny Storm comes around. He flames on. He throws a fire blast, literally burning Storm. And we get a great moment where like we find out that Human Torch, one of his big concerns is that, fire is serious. As a comic book fan, I'm always worried about fire damage and water damage. And because, comics are just literally paper, so it doesn't take much to light either of them up. And so Storm sees Johnny and like, yeah, gets into the fight. She tackles Grimm. Her kiss surprises Ben Grimm with its tenderness, its desperately yearning for true affection that too painfully mirrors his own. Rogue is as trapped by her body as the thing is by his, and the mockery of human contact is all she is allowed. With this kiss, indeed of the slightest touch of her flesh to another's, Rogue temporarily absorbs that person's psyche and powers. Instantly, as her body is flooded with the thing's awesome strength, her awareness is filled with the totality of his being. All he was and is, dreams, despairs of being. She thought she'd be attacking a toad. Instead, she's touched the soul of a prince. And she is absorbing his power, so she's turning into the thing, and he's reverting to a more flesh-like thing, but you can still see, like, his heavy brow. Meanwhile, Johnny Storm crumbles under Psylocke's telepathic onslaught. And then Johnny's down once again. She-Hulk's trying to pin Wolverine down, but he gets to get a wild kick in, which bruises Reed's face. 'Cause if you think about it, Logan's always a walking 300 pounds with this metal and then muscle on top of that, Canadian beef. And so, yeah, when he kicks you, like that's going to feel like a desk landing on your face. From the hatchway of the Fantastic Four's hyperspace plane, a young boy watches in glowing horror as friends battle family. He wants to all of his might to stop this, but no one heeds or even hears his anguished cry. Because he isn't really there. The costume figure of Franklin Richards that appeared in Scotland is really an astral projection of the sleeping lad back home in the Fantastic Four's headquarters, however. As so often happens when you sleep, a leap made in dreamland has rude and painful consequences in reality. So he's crying. Sue's in there giving him a hug, a nice motherly, reassuring hug. Siege suddenly by fury too great to be contained as she picks up Reed's Richards' journal, State University, and which you think would be Reed Richards' State University journal, but I don't know. That apparently recounts the adventure of the Fantastic Four's origins, but with a different bent. Susan Richards lashes out with her invisible force field, ripping off her clothes for some reason. Muir Island. Earlier this morning, just prior to the Fantastic Four's arrival, Dazzler and Longshot found a fisherman adrift on the open ocean. Brought him here to the nearest, best equipped infirmary. And then the guy's turning into a robot. Sharon doesn't like the sound of that and likes it even less when the continually metamorphosizing creature turns her way. Meanwhile, unaware of what's happening inside, and Myra McTaggart on her 10th life is confronting Logan to get him to calm down. Storm has her arm bandaged up. She can barely stand, and her pain lies as raw across her senses as the acid stench of her seared flesh. He could brush her aside with ease. He wants to, but snack. His claw goes back in. She-Hulk helps Reed up. He's embarrassed. Rogue is being told to stand down by Storm. She's still very uh, thinged out. Um, Grimm's still knocked out. Longshot, Dazzler, and Havoc come running out, as does the robot. Robot turning into a Doombot from Doctor Doom. My apologies for this uninvited intrusion, for the deception practiced upon you by my scant bot. I heard the X-Men of your recent troubles at the hands of the Marauders. See recent issues of the X-Men, Ann, which is cute because it's just Ann, like Ann, and then just a capital N, but it just it looks like Ann. I guess it more looks like Ann. I was curious to separate fact from rumor. More importantly, I wish to determine whether or not this attack on you posed any threat to my interests. So, learning of your presence on Mirror Island, I sent this construct to recon Dr. McTaggart's facilities. And so he offers to help out. Reed saying they shouldn't listen to him. But Dr. McTaggart's like, well, if you're not going to help, then we're going to take the help where we can. She-Hulk picks up slowly turning orange, Grim, and Johnny, who's still knocked out. They fly away. Magneto turns the robot into a chair to take Storm to the actual medical facility. We see Kitty Pryde, and this is going to be the page that I put on the podcast's socials at SNFWM. And so she's having to witness all this. And Kitty thinks to herself, this is my fault. Storm's hurt, and I saw Doom make his offer on the security monitors. I want to live, but not at the cost of the X-Men their souls. Maybe it's time I took the decision out of their hands. While Shadowcat ponders her fate, a man returns home, weary in body and spirit. And he's just not sure what he's doing wrong. And Ben picks him up by his rubber shoulders and throws across the room. He's read the journal, and now everyone's mad at him. And so it recounts it. And it just pretty much makes it seem like he knew there was a high risk that they're going to get affected by powers. And then using those powers, he will get popular in the world. And so it's not the scientific discovery they were hoping it was going to be. And meanwhile, Mirror Island, Logan's just slashing away at all the rocks. Rogue's trying to calm him down. Later at Myra's house, they continue to talk about Doctor Doom's offer. Fantastic Four headquarters. Reed is discussing how the book, like he didn't write it, but he might as well have. Like it seems very much written from his point of view. The X-Men are still continuing to discuss it. Reed's trying to explain more of the rationale. And everyone's just disappointed in Reed, and they're going to just leave him alone, which he usually is fine with because he's preferred to be in his lab. But when they are voluntarily leaving him alone and disappointed at him, then it just hits differently. There's an ad here for Fallen Angels, which I think Magic's only in issues 1, 2, and 7. And seven's a recap of issue 1. And issue 2, she is in like a brief scene outside. And then 1's the big soccer game that sets up Berto hurting Sam and then escaping essentially. And so Storm agrees that they're going to let Doctor Doom help, and whatever the cost it is, she'll pay it. And they're like, we all will pay it. Next, by the soul's darkest light. That, everyone, is Fantastic Four versus X-Men #2. We will discuss issue 3 next week. And uh must have gotten this from Mile High Comics, and it was in near mint condition, which it should still be. Like, it's just been in a box until right now. And then what other comics came out last week? It's Jeff Infinity Paws, which is a physical printing of a um I keep having to touch the screen to see if I can pause the recording if need be, but turns out we have two handy pause buttons, so that's nice. And then it's in physical form, which I bought immediately as I want to encourage all digital comics to see print because one day we're going to get lovable Lockheed 6 issues in a physical form, and I'm going to buy every variant cover they make of that book. But it's a cute story. The pets of the Marvel Universe. Lockheed shows up towards the middle back third of it. And mostly he doesn't really do much. But the Grandmaster's trying to put on a competition for the animals. So Lockheed is a pet of the Marvel Universe, and so we see him having fun. He burns a cat into turning into a Ghost Rider cat. So I'm like, that's hilarious. We see him sleeping a bunch, but with like the other like pet Avengers sleeping. Um, there's like Lockjaw's barely in it. It's mostly a Jeff, the land shark, the cats of the Marvel Universe, so like Gambit's cats plus Captain Marvel's cat or whatever the alien cat thing is. And what's their third franchise they're doing? Because it's Marvel Meow, it's Jeff, and a third thing. Because I know in September they're reprinting some more. And Loki Alligator. So, or Loki the Alligator, or Alligator Loki. Yeah, I think it's that one. And so yeah, pretty great issue. Next is Laura Kinney Wolverine 8, which was a pretty great story. She teams up with the one guy from her X-23 Regenesis series, and Kitty Pryde and Rachel show for a panel in that first issue of Regenesis, so I added it to my wish list. Which on League of Comic Book Geeks, I had my wish list down to 8, and then I just started adding variant covers galore, and so now I think my wish list is at 300 comics or so. Like, it's ridiculous. But now if I ever go in the wild and come across comics, I can at least go on the app and then see what I want. So I'm slowly adding pretty much every single thing. I have it mostly Lockheed appearances and Kitty Kate Pride appearances, and I just need to just bite the bullet and go through and add all the magic stuff. But because at first I was trying to make all my collection, all Lockheed, of course, which I'm back to owning all Lockheed appearances. And then I am. Then I was like, well, I want to stay current with all the Kitty Pride appearances, but also, I'm a Kitty Pride Lockheed Magic fan. I should just do it. And I want to say I've been adding everything, but it's pretty much just going through and adding all the New Mutant Volume 4 comics. I'll do it as I come across it. I promise. And not like I come across comics in a while too much, but Helena is gonna host a Akisani Anime Con in 2 weekends. And so we're hoping to see the Sunday show or go to the Sunday day of it. And um, I looked it up, and apparently it just translates from the Japanese from Big Sky, which is Montana's Big Sky country. So I was like, oh, that's a cute name. At first, I was like, what is this, name here? And then the issue ends with reveal Gabby and the most real Wolverine, Jonathan. But Gabby's face is like melting, Ben Riley style. And so whoever's causing that is going to get some claws in their face from Laura. So it should be pretty great. Marvel Swimsuit Special, Friends, Foes, and Rivals. Joshua Cassera and Marte Garcia do a double page Krakoa special, and Kitty's in the panel, which is or on the page. Um, Hanging out with Colossus, who's wearing like this funny pink tuba circle. And we actually get a story for once, and I guess someone's doing a fake Avengers swimsuit special, and so Wasp is like, "Well, I know how to counter this," and it goes around the hero community, getting them all to take swimsuit shots. So it's silly fun. The main story is drawn by Nick Bradshaw and colored by Rochelle Rosenberg, and so I love that team together. Like they did Amazing Spider-Man Volume 2 together. Oh, speaking of which, Marvel announced the Age of Revelation, and so in the classic Age of Apocalypse, which turns 30 this year, they are essentially canceling all the books September, which is why so many things are double shipping. And then in October, we're going to start getting these new titles. I don't know if they're all one shots or are they going to be 3 to 4 issues like the original series, and then if they're going to relaunch them again. But we have to wait and see. But we're going to get the creative teams. I'm going to commit to getting whichever Kitty Pryde and Magic appearances are in it and Loki. And so to see what happens. But I'm excited about the prospect of it. And um, yeah, and there's some new titles like Cloak or Dagger. There's Laura Kinney Sabretooth, which I want to say is because she kills so many people that she has to now become, she's no longer worthy of the mantle Wolverine in her perspective. So now she's Sabretooth. Cloak or Dagger caught my eye. Amazing Spider-Man Volume 3, Unbreakable, X-Men. There was another adjective of X-Men. And there's a Rogue Storm, which could be a play on how like when Storm was like in the 80s, I want to say there's a comic series or title called Rogue Storm. But hopefully it's just a Rogue Storm buddy book. And um so I think there's like 16 titles. One of them comes out next week as Age of Revelation Zero. I was able to add to my DCBS order, so I don't know if I get that in September or do I get in my next monthly book, but a little tricky that they did like a surprise. We have a comic coming out next week. I'm like, well, how do people who live an hour and a half away from their comic books, their closest comic book store, like, how do they get it? And it's like, well, if you want it, you got to find a way to get it. So I did. Um, and Ultimate Spider-Man Incursion 2, which has no magic appearance, so less great than the other one. She will be on the cover of issue 4. But we turn out Billy, Miles' younger sister, got teleported to Wakanda. And so we know she's in safe hands, except that at the end of the issue, she is taken by Silver Samurai, so she's not in as great hands. And the next issue will be Ultimate X-Men. The Peach Momoko X-Men, not the Ultimate Wolverine, the oppression, the opposition. And so then we have Uncanny X-Men 17, which I'm hoping to get him from my comic shop's eBay account the next my middle paycheck. But it starts with Kitty Pryde calling Rogue, which is very healing, as from Uncanny X. So it took 16 issues from Kate telling Rogue to never call her on the phone, and then denying talking to Rogue in Exceptional X-Men 5, I want to say. Uh, but now they're talking the phone. There's a new movie coming out called like an independent horror movie called Mutina, and Kate does or Kitty does not think it looks great or going to do great things for the mutant community. And and then they cut to like a bunch of other people's reactions, and Magic's one of the people. So it's fun that this comic has both Kitty and Magic in it. And Magic's like, "Hey, get this camera on my face," which is like, why would you air that on the network? But sure. The Outliers sneak away to see the movie. They are not that impressed. Becca has never actually seen a movie in the movie theater, and so it's a cute date for her and Jitter to go on. Um, Deaf Dream orders six pretzels, and then Ransom orders two collectible buckets of popcorn. So it gets you just know that that's going to be a very expensive purchase. Um, At one point, Becca has the popcorn over her eyes, and so she just got scared. It sounds like it's not a very good movie, but it's a. And when the director comes out and says that the movie's not about, it's not anti-mutant at all. It just has a mutant for a as the bad guy, but they never say the word mutant at all. But the movie's called Mutina, which I imagine is a play on like mutilating someone, Mutina. And then it turns out, oh, and then the outliers come home. They get yelled at by Rogue because she's a helicopter mom, apparently. But we get this beautiful panel of Becca petting Ember, who's a very good horse-shaped spirit boy. But they also have the Sentinel dog, or a Sentinel-shaped dog, and they're naming him Waffles. So we are getting quite the expat situation. Oh, I should mention Infinity Pets ends with Gambit getting his cats back and Lockheed. So that's cute. But we really do have like Gambit's cats, Lockheed, Ember, Waffles, um, Rachel's amazing baby werewolf pup, and then Magic's purple creature we never seen again from Exterminators. So we got like I have a story I could throw for an Uncanny X Pets team title. But they go to Becca and Calico, and I don't know. I guess now that we know Ember's a ghost horse, Becca's code name is Calico. And so, because I always was like, well, is it the combination of her and Ember? But no, that's just her. So Calico and Jitter, or Calitter, as I like to ship them together, go to confront the actress who plays Mutina, and turns out she is Mutina, which seems I don't know. I guess if she was committing crimes as Mutina, she'd probably be the last suspect. Because why would an actress turn into her movie persona and then start killing people? Like, if you have an alibi, you'd probably get away with it. And but turns out she's Mutina. The X-Men show up and stop her, and so it's like, well, what's gonna happen next with this? But not a bad storyline. Pretty interesting stuff. And then lastly, we have Wolverine and Kitty Pryde 4. They call Ziggy and Kitty's essences turned into Domino, the AI Sentinel. And so they're trying to work together as ghosts as their bodies turn into Sentinels, and the Sentinel entity turns into a living combination of Kitty Trask. And so Wolverine's trying to fight. Carmen is upset about how he's never able to help his daughter out, so he like starts by wrecking the heck out of the Domino or Domina. And classic Chris Claremont, right? We gotta love him. They're able to reverse their bodies to turn the robot back into a robot and them back into the 14-year-old girls. But unfortunately, classic Chris Claremont, they switch bodies. And so now Kitty's in Ziggy's body and Ziggy's in Kitty's body, hence the switching bodies. And next issue, they got to figure out how to switch them back. And next issue will be the final issue. It does end with the Snow Samurai lady. So clearly she's going to just, do something that puts them back because clearly the Kitty Pryde we're following is not Ziggy Trask this entire time. I do like how this is a companion series to Wolverine and Kitty Pryde naturally. And we get Kitty Pryde, like in Wolverine, Kitty Pryde and Wolverine, she had to fight to reclaim her body. And now in Wolverine Kitty Pryde, she's fighting to reclaim her mind. And so, yeah, like on paper, it's a pretty good, twist there. And then next week's comics, let's see here. We have Exceptional X-Men 11 with Ironheart. We have Giant Size House of M1, which I'm super excited about because it finally gives us the school teacher Kitty Pryde that I always wanted more from. We have eight X-Men Age of Revelations 0. So we'll see how this event. Oh, and that event kicks off X years in the future. And so it's supposed to be everything we know about today, and then we see the future where Doug Ramsey's revelations and doing what he do. Deadpool Wolverine 7. Godzilla destroys the Marvel Universe, so it'd be great to see what era we're currently in on this. Like, is it set in the now? Because the X-Men we see on the cover of volume or issue 3 is a ragtag group of X-Men that feels very 90s, but their costumes look modern. So I don't know. We'll find out how current it is. I bought issue 3. I'll buy whatever issues Kitty and Magic appear in because I do love me a crossover. We have Imperial 2, which feels like forever since Imperial 1 came out, but also I'm only here to see how the Laundra and Xandra are in it. And then Ultimate X-Men 17 with Peach Momoko, amazing artist writer series. So yeah, some good books coming out. So exceptional, giant size, Age of Revelations, and then I'll probably go Ultimate X-Men 17. And Godzilla destroys the Marvel Universe potentially at number 5. So yeah, that'll be the top 5. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Let me know. I know at one point I wasn't really looking at the camera, but this felt good to do. So hopefully I'm gonna risk it all and hope that this records well. And see if my son could have heard me this entire time because recording this closer to 1:30 as opposed to at 11:30 at night. So yeah, it's see how it all works. Let me know if it audio works, the visual worked well. Um, I know this is my Age of Apocalypse collection I've been looking at this whole time, but over here is my Kitty Pryde collection. But the window there, you can't really make them out, but I'll work on that. And thank you so much, everyone, for listening. You tell a friend to subscribe, and we keep trying to grow the podcast. And I will talk to you next time. All right, everyone, bye. Oh, and you can follow me on the socials, Blue Sky, Twitter, um, TikTok, all at Jackal SIII. And thanks so much, everyone. All right, bye.